November 12, 2019, 9:47 a.m., Providence Municipal Courthouse. The oak-paneled room holds its breath. Robert Martinez, 70 years old, Vietnam veteran, sits in the gallery with a white cast wrapped around his fractured wrist, 3 broken ribs beneath his shirt, concussion still throbbing. Behind him, 24 veterans fill the back rows, arms crossed, silent as stone. At the defendant's table stands Derek Cole, 28, son of Police Chief William Cole, designer suit sharp enough to cut glass. The charge, assault and battery. The evidence, security footage showing Derek shoving Martinez to the pavement outside a VA hospital parking lot because the old man was moving too slow. Judge Frank Caprio, 76, removes his glasses, the signature move before he delivers truth. Derek's $5,000 an hour lawyer claims mistaken identity. The white cast catches the courtroom lights like a spotlight. Veterans lean forward. Caprio's voice drops. Let me see that footage one more time. Mystery. Why did a police chief's son think privilege could outrun cameras? The courtroom wasn't built for this kind of tension. Providence Municipal Court handled parking tickets, minor traffic violations, the small stuff that kept the city running. Judge Frank Caprio had presided here for 30 years, building a reputation, one dismissed ticket at a time. By 2019, his courtroom clips had gone viral, over 500 million views across platforms. People called him the nicest judge in the world. He'd cried with defendants, paid fines from his own pocket, turned courtroom proceedings into moments of grace. But Robert Martinez wasn't here for a parking ticket. He sat in the front row. Purple Heart recipient, Vietnam, 1968 to 1970, 30 years as an EMT after the war. The white cast on his right wrist told one story. The medical report on Caprio's desk told another. Fractured wrist, 3 broken ribs, concussion, permanent nerve damage. Derek Cole stood at the defense table, designer cufflinks catching light, posture, screaming entitlement. His father, Police Chief William Cole, had run the Providence Police Department for 25 years. Derek had grown up knowing that badge meant protection. 6 dismissed tickets, 2 sealed DUIs. Always a phone call, always a favor. The white cast was the first time the armor cracked. Caprio looked at Derek. Mr. Cole, how do you plead? Derek adjusted his suit. Not guilty. This whole thing is ridiculous. The word hit like a detonation. Veterans in the back rows sat straighter. Caprio removed his glasses slowly. Sometimes mercy requires rage. Derek Cole didn't just grow up privileged. He grew up untouchable. His father, Chief William Cole, wasn't just respected. He was feared. 25 years on the force, 15 as chief, built on discipline and control. But with his son, Cole had been something else, protective to the point of blindness. Derek's first DUI got sealed when he was 19, second one at 23. Sealed again. 6 parking tickets dismissed with a phone call. 2 assault complaints that never made it past intake. The pattern was clear. Derek learned early that consequences were for other people. The white cast on Martinez's wrist represented the first time privilege met something it couldn't erase. Security cameras. November 9, 2019, outside the Providence VA hospital. Martinez had an appointment for PTSD counseling, running late, struggling to find parking. Derek pulled up in his Audi, honked twice, rolled down his window. Move it, old man. Martinez, 70 years old, combat veteran, took his time. Derek honked again. Martinez waved him around. What happened next was caught on 4 different cameras. Derek got out, walked over, and shoved Martinez hard enough to send him sprawling onto the asphalt. 4 minutes, 17 seconds of footage. Derek standing over him, yelling. Martinez on the ground, wrist bent wrong, ribs screaming. Derek got back in his car and drove off. The cameras never blinked. 3 witnesses called 911. By the time the ambulance arrived, Martinez was in shock. By the time Chief Cole heard about it, the footage was already logged into evidence. The white cast became a symbol. The moment privilege collided with proof. Wealth can buy silence, but cameras don't forget. Judge Frank Caprio sat in his chambers that morning before the trial, staring at the medical report. His office walls told his own story. Photos of his father Antonio, the fruit peddler from Federal Hill who'd worked himself raw so his sons could have more. Caprio's law school diploma from Suffolk University, earned at night while teaching high school during the day. His Army photo from 1954, 17 years old. Combat engineer, learned respect for authority and basic training. He'd built his career on second chances, dismissed tickets for single mothers, homeless veterans, immigrants struggling with English, made people cry with compassion. But assault crossed a line, especially assault on a decorated veteran. The medical report sat on his desk like an accusation. Patient will carry pain for life. Caprio knew Chief Cole personally. They'd coached youth baseball together in the 90s, shared beers after games, talked about their kids. Cole was a good man, everyone said so. Disciplined, fair, respected. But good men sometimes raised entitled sons. Caprio looked at the white cast photo paper clipped to the file, looked at Martinez's Purple Heart citation, looked at Derek's smirking driver's license photo. The hardest decisions always cost the most. He stood, straightened his robe, walked toward the courtroom. He didn't know Chief Cole was already in the building, sitting in the back row, hands folded, face carved from stone. Chief William Cole had arrived at 6 a.m., sitting alone in his office, staring at the case file. His son's name. Martinez's service record. 25 years of reputation that could vanish in one trial. Cole wasn't naive. He knew what Derek had become, knew about the sealed arrests, the dismissed tickets, the string of second chances that taught all the wrong lessons. He'd told himself he was being a good father, protecting his boy. But protection without accountability isn't love. It's permission. Cole remembered Robert Martinez from the 2017 Veterans Day ceremony. Shook his hand, thanked him for his service. Now that same veteran sat in a hospital for 3 days because of his son. The white cast photo haunted him. He'd made a decision that morning, standing in his empty office. He would attend the trial. He would not interfere. He would let justice happen. But he hadn't told Derek yet. Hadn't prepared his son for what was coming. Maybe that was cowardice. Maybe it was the last lesson he could teach. A father's love and a badge rarely fit in the same hand. By the time Cole walked into the courtroom and took a seat in the back, Derek still didn't know he was there. The veterans noticed, though. Saw the chief's uniform, the stiff posture, the hands folded like prayer. They watched him watch his son. His silence in court would say everything. The trial started with Attorney Richardson's opening statement, a performance of confidence built on sand. Your Honor, this is a clear case of mistaken identity. My client was nowhere near the VA hospital that afternoon. Caprio said nothing, just gestured to the bailiff. Play the security footage. The courtroom went dark. 4 camera angles, synchronized. Angle 1. Derek's Audi pulling up, license plate crystal clear. Angle 2. Derek getting out, walking toward Martinez. Angle 3. The shove, Martinez falling, the exact moment his wrist hit pavement. Angle 4. Derek standing over him, mouth moving, audio picked up, stupid old man, then walking away. The white cast moment happened in slow motion on screen. Martinez's wrist bending wrong, the angle of impact, the physics of bone breaking. When the lights came back on, Richardson tried pivoting. Your Honor, my client admits he was present, but the victim clearly exaggerated his injuries. Caprio held up the medical report. "Counselor, I have documentation here. Concussion, fractured wrist, 3 broken ribs. You want to tell Mr. Martinez he exaggerated his broken bones?" Derek shifted in his seat, confidence finally cracking. The veterans in the gallery sat motionless, laser-focused. One of them, an older man with a Vietnam veteran's cap, stared at Derek with the kind of patience that comes from surviving ambushes. Video doesn't negotiate. Richardson sat down, adjusted his tie, looked at Derek, whispered something. Derek shook his head. Then Derek made the mistake that would define everything. Richardson called Derek to the stand. Derek walked up, adjusted his designer suit, took the oath without hesitation. Richardson asked softball questions. "Where were you? What happened? Did you intend harm?" Derek played it, smooth at first, claimed Martinez had gotten in his way, that he was just trying to get to an appointment, that the shove was barely a push. Then Caprio leaned forward. "Mr. Cole, were you aware that Mr. Martinez is a decorated combat veteran?" Derek paused. "I didn't know that at the time, obviously." Caprio let silence hang. Would it have mattered? Derek's face shifted. Confusion, then annoyance. "I mean, he was just some old guy blocking traffic. I had somewhere to be." The courtroom inhaled as one. Just some old guy. The veterans in the back didn't move, didn't react, but the temperature dropped 20 degrees. Caprio removed his glasses again, cleaned them slowly. Just some old guy. Martinez sat in the front row, white cast visible in evidence now, sitting on the clerk's table between them. Stared at it like it belonged to someone else. Derek kept talking, trying to walk it back. "I mean, I didn't know about his service, but the damage was done. Sometimes people confess without knowing." In the back row, Chief Cole's face went white. He stood slowly, every head turned. Chief William Cole stood in the gallery, uniform pressed, badge catching light. The courtroom went silent. He walked down the center aisle, steady and deliberate. Caprio watched him approach. "Chief Cole, this is highly irregular." Cole stopped at the bar, looked at the judge, then at his son. Derek's face shifted from confusion to panic. "Your Honor, I need to say something about my son." Derek tried to stand. Richardson pulled him back down. Cole's voice was steady, but something broke underneath. "He's told you his truth. Let me tell you mine." The white cast sat on the evidence table between father and son, a small piece of plaster that somehow held the whole room's attention. Cole turned to face the courtroom, the veterans, Martinez. "I've spent 25 years enforcing the law, but for the last 10, I've been breaking it. Every time I protected my son from consequences he deserved." Derek's face crumbled. "Dad, please, I'm not finished." The moment a father chooses the badge. Cole kept going, voice stronger now. "Every ticket I got dismissed, every arrest I got sealed. Every time I told myself I was being a good father, I was teaching him he's above the law. I was teaching him that people like Mr. Martinez don't matter." What he said next destroyed everything. Chief Cole addressed the court like he was giving testimony because he was. "I've protected my son too long. 6 dismissed parking tickets, 2 DUI arrests that never made it to trial. 1 domestic disturbance call that disappeared from records. I thought I was helping him. I was enabling him." Martinez listened, white cast now resting on his lap, brought down from evidence. Cole listed each incident, dates, times, officers involved. No deflection, no excuses. This veteran served his country in Vietnam, came home, became an EMT, spent 30 years saving lives. My son called him just some old guy. That's on me. I taught him that. Derek tried to interrupt again. Caprio raised a hand, silenced him. Some of the veterans in the gallery were nodding. A few were crying. One older man in a Vietnam veteran's cap saluted Chief Cole. Not mockery, recognition, the hardest kind of accountability. Cole turned to Martinez. "Mr. Martinez, I can't undo what my son did, but I can stop protecting him from what he's earned. Sometimes the strongest apology is accountability." Cole looked back at Caprio. "Your Honor, whatever sentence you deem appropriate, I will support. My son assaulted a decorated veteran, showed no remorse, and disrespected this court. I won't interfere." The courtroom erupted in hushed whispers. Caprio, visibly moved, thanked the chief for his courage. But the chief wasn't done. Cole walked to where Derek sat, stood over him. "Derek, I love you. That will never change. But love doesn't mean protecting you from consequences. Love means holding you accountable so you can become the man you're supposed to be." Derek's face was wet, finally showing real emotion. The white cast sat between them like a third person in the conversation. Cole's voice softened but didn't waver. "You're going to face the full weight of what you did, and I'm going to let you, because that's the only way you'll ever understand what you took from Mr. Martinez." He turned back to Caprio. "I'll accept any sentence you give. He deserves it." Derek broke down. Not the performative tears of someone trying to avoid punishment, but the genuine collapse of someone whose world just shattered. The room went silent, except for Derek's quiet sobbing. Caprio paused, considering. This wasn't just sentencing, it was teaching. The veterans watched. Martinez watched. Chief Cole stood at attention, waiting. The white cast, symbol of shattered privilege, of pain that would never fully heal, sat in evidence, waiting for its final purpose. Tears mean nothing without change. Caprio looked at Derek, then at Martinez, then at the medical report. "Mr. Cole, do you have anything to say before I deliver my ruling?" Derek could barely speak. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Caprio nodded slowly. "Let's see if you mean that." Judge Caprio delivered his ruling with the precision of someone who'd thought about every word. "Derek Cole, you are found guilty of assault and battery. I sentence you to 6 months in county jail, followed by 200 hours of community service at the Providence VA hospital." Derek's face showed devastation, then something else, acceptance. "You will personally apologize to Mr. Martinez in writing. You will pay $5,000 in restitution for medical bills. You will complete mandatory anger management classes." Richardson started to object. Caprio cut him off with a look. "And there's one more condition." The white cast would be returned to Martinez after the trial. Evidence no longer needed. But it had served its purpose, making the invisible visible, making privilege collide with proof. Caprio looked at Derek, then at Chief Cole, then at the veterans filling his courtroom. "For the next 2 years, you will write monthly letters to veterans. Not generic thank yous. Real letters about what you're learning, what you're understanding about service and sacrifice." Derek nodded, couldn't speak. Martinez sat quietly, white cast in his lap. Caprio continued. "If you complete this program with genuine effort, your record can be sealed after 5 years. But the letters, Mr. Cole, those are the real sentence. Because words without action mean nothing. Justice without rehabilitation is just revenge." Caprio asked if Martinez wanted to speak. The courtroom held its breath. Robert Martinez stood slowly, white cast visible against his dark jacket. He walked to the podium, looked at Derek, then at Caprio. His voice was steady, carried the weight of someone who'd survived worse than broken bones. "Your Honor, I accept his apology, if it's real." He turned to Derek. "I served in Vietnam from 1968 to 1970. Came home to people spitting on me, calling me baby killer. Spent 30 years as an EMT trying to save lives because I'd seen too much death. I parked slow that day because I was going to counseling for PTSD, because some mornings I still wake up in a jungle that doesn't exist anymore. Derek was crying openly now. Martinez continued, I served so people like you could have freedom, even freedom to make mistakes, even freedom to be an entitled punk who thinks the world owes him something. Silence. But freedom comes with responsibility. You're getting a second chance most people don't get. Don't waste it. Martinez looked at the white cast. This'll heal. Took me longer to heal from other things. You do your time, write those letters, and maybe you'll understand what service actually means. He walked back to his seat. Caprio wiped his eyes. Chief Cole stood at attention, saluted. Martinez. Martinez returned it. Mercy without accountability is permission. 6 months later, something impossible happened. June 2020. Derek Cole sat in the Providence County Jail library, writing his third letter. This one was to Arthur Chen, 92-year-old World War II veteran in Rhode Island. Derek described his shame, his slow understanding of what he'd taken for granted, the stories he'd heard from veterans during his community service hours. Chief Cole visited every week. Their conversations were different now, honest, painful, necessary. The relationship was healing the way bones heal, slowly, with permanent scars. The white cast Martinez had worn was now in Martinez's home, sitting on a shelf next to his Purple Heart, a reminder that survival comes in different forms. Derek's letters started going viral online by August. Someone posted one to social media, tagged it "The Privileged Kid Who Changed." Media outlets picked it up. Some people were skeptical. Some people believed in redemption. Caprio received copies of every letter, read each one carefully. He'd built his career on believing people could change. Derek's letters showed someone trying to understand what he'd broken. By December, Derek had written 7 letters. Arthur Chen wrote back, "You're learning what took me a war to understand, that dignity isn't given, it's earned. Keep earning it." Real change is written in small acts. The veterans at Providence VA Hospital watched Derek show up every week, mop floors, push wheelchairs, listen to stories. Some refused to talk to him. Others started testing him with questions. The final meeting would close the circle. November 2021. Providence Community Center, Veterans Event honoring local heroes. Derek Cole, sentence completed, stood at a podium he'd been invited to, not demanded. Martinez sat in the audience, white cast long removed, wrist still stiff on cold days. Derek had spent 18 months writing letters, working at the VA, learning what just some old guy actually meant. He'd heard stories about Normandy, Iwo Jima, Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan. Learned that heroism looked like ordinary people making impossible choices. His speech was short, honest. I learned privileges and power. Services. I learned that the people I dismissed were the ones who'd earned the right to walk slowly, park wherever they needed, take their time, because they'd given everything for strangers like me. He talked about his father's courage in court that day, about Caprio's mercy that came with accountability, about Martinez's grace in accepting an apology from someone who didn't deserve it yet. After, Martinez walked up. They shook hands. Cameras captured the moment. The veteran whose wrist would never fully heal, the young man whose privilege had finally shattered. Judge Caprio watched from the back, 78 years old, still believing in second chances that were earned, not given. The nicest judge in the world had delivered the hardest lesson. Chief Cole retired in 2022, spent his time volunteering with veterans groups, trying to balance accounts that could never fully balance. The weight of justice is lighter than the weight of shame. The white cast sits in the Providence Veterans Museum now, donated in 2023. Display case near the entrance. Plaque reads, "The Cost of Accountability, Robert Martinez, Vietnam veteran, 2019. Next to it, Derek Cole's first apology letter, handwritten on jail stationery. Shaky letters, showing someone learning to mean what they say. Next to that, Martinez's Purple Heart from 1970. 3 objects. 1 lesson. Judge Frank Caprio passed away August 20th, 2025 at 88 years old. Pancreatic cancer. His obituary mentioned court in Providence. The viral videos, 500 million views. But the people who worked with him remembered this case. The day the nicest judge in the world proved that mercy and accountability aren't opposites. They're partners. Derek Cole still writes to veterans. Works at a non-profit, helping at-risk youth understand consequences before they learn the hard way. Chief William Cole died in 2024. His funeral filled with officers and veterans who understood what it cost him to choose justice over protection. Robert Martinez is 76 now, still goes to VA counseling, still parks slow. The white cast sits in its museum case, plaster yellowed with time, hospital bracelet still attached. Visitors read the plaque, look at the letter, see the Purple Heart. Sometimes healing requires breaking first. The cast stays there, preserved, a small piece of plaster that held the weight of privilege colliding with proof, mercy balanced with accountability, and the impossible lesson that some people can change if someone believes they're worth saving.